Hi friends. So I have had a lot of friends and friends of friends be messaging me over the last few months asking about homeschooling. Such a complicated topic to answer. I've had quite a few people say, tell me everything I need to know. There is so much that you need to know that it's impossible to message that to you or text that to you. So I thought I would make just hopefully quick little video in response to the friends that keep messaging me, asking me about how homeschooling works for our family. The main question that we get a lot is about what kind of curriculum we use, which is also a very complicated answer. We have found, I want to say we've been homeschooling we're going into our 7th year, so which really isn't, it is quite a few years, but it's not really a whole lot. So I in no way am an expert, but I can share with you what we have found over those 7 years with different things we have tried, what works and what doesn't work for our family. And hopefully that information might be a little bit helpful to you. So the main question I get is about curriculum. Complicated answer. It is ever changing. We've changed quite a few times the stuff we're using. This year in particular, we are looking at possibly doing a complete overhaul of the stuff that we've been using, which changes everything. So I am going to start with that just real quick to let you know. I don't have a whole lot to say about it yet because we haven't actually dove into it. I've flipped through and I've done a few sample lessons, and I've printed off just a short unit set, a mini unit study. And we're hoping to do that over the month of August so that come September, we'll know whether or not this is something that could work for us or not. It is a brand new curriculum. It's written by a Canadian, although I think the majority of it is sold to American friends, homeschoolers. But it is something that I am super excited about. I have heard nothing but great reviews about it, and a lot of veteran homeschoolers are just ditching everything that they've done in the past and switching completely to this. The cool thing about this curriculum is it is multi-level. So from your preschooler all the way up to your high schooler, you get to do it all together. All subjects except for math is included in this curriculum, and you get to do it as a group, which is something that has been lacking in our homeschool. It was something that I envisioned when we first started homeschooling, to do this as a family. It'd be an adventure, and to do it all together. And then we got into the flow of everybody doing different subjects, all at different times, all at different levels. It was demanding of my time, and also, our older kids, Oliver has been taking his stuff and going into a different room to do it because he can do the majority of it on his own. We're not doing it together. We're not doing it as a family. So that's something that's really exciting, that excites me about this particular curriculum. So I'm hoping that it works for us. As I said, you do have to add in math on top of it. It's not super inexpensive, but if it's something that's going to work really well for us, I'm willing to do that. So it is called Gather Round Homeschool. Right now you can only get digital units. Something else that's exciting about it is its unit studies, which is something that excites me. I love themed things. I love being able to run with that and do, decorate our home in that way. The food we eat, the trips we take, the things we talk about, the movies we watch can all be wrapped up in that unit study. The very first year we homeschooled, we did a couple unit studies on some different things. We did The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. We did an Easter one. We did one on pirates. And that was, looking back, some of the most fun that we had in our homeschool journey. So that's what excites me about this. I printed off just a mini unit. So this is much smaller, about half the amount of work, half the amount of subjects that a regular unit study would do. It's 20 lessons. It's built to either do it for 4 days a week for 5 weeks, or 5 days a week for a month. This is a mini one, so it doesn't cover all the subjects. It's one kind of to be added in with the rest of the stuff. This one in particular was interesting for our family, considering we have some Indigenous children in our home. So it's all on Indigenous studies. So you would print off your teacher's guide, and then you would print off your student manuals, depending on what grade they are. So there's a preschool, there's an early elementary, an upper elementary, a middle school, and a high school. So this is my middle schoolers. So I would read the lesson. It's beautiful, beautiful pictures and graphics in it, which is exciting. It is written by a Christian homeschooler as well. So for those who are wanting a faith-based curriculum, it does have Bible, it does tie it in. It's not overly religious if that's not something that you're wanting to include in your homeschool, but it is written by a Christian author. So homeschooling mom. So just beautiful. So you would read the lesson as the teacher, and then your students have different levels and different things that they need to record and do that day. This is a mini unit, so I think there's only 2 pages a day that the kids would have to do. For a regular unit, just a moment please. For a regular unit, the kids would do, I think it's 4 pages. It's got geography in there, it's got history in there, it's got Bible in there, it's got some grammar, which I'll come back to, and some spelling, which I'll also come back to in there. Everything pretty much except for math. So all you would really need to add in is math. Our plan is to supplement some more stuff, which I'll get into, but so this is what it would be. We're excited about it. Maybe ask me again in a month whether this is something we've decided to switch to or not, but we're excited to get started. Yeah, so they've got quite a few. They've got all of last year, and then they've got new ones coming out this year. There's Asia, Africa, oceans, space, bird unit, a whole bunch of different that you can choose from. You don't have to do it in order. You can do whatever order you want, or you can follow the way that they've released them, which is probably what we'll do. And so that's fun. So you can focus on all of that. Everything ties into whatever your topic is for that month, which is super exciting. So if you are looking to that aside, I just wanted to say is what our plan is to start with this year. If quick and easy short answer, you are looking to just stick with the Canadian curriculum, if you're thinking of maybe only homeschooling right now during this crazy time and sending your kids back to public school soon, and you want to do public school, or you want to do homeschooling as cost friendly as possible, a great way to go is to just purchase the complete Canadian curriculums in the grade that you need. It covers all the subjects. It does everything that they're doing in school. I have quite a few friends who homeschool and only use this. You could always add in supplements or different things of interest if you want, but this does have everything they need that they could work through at their different levels. So not faith-based. So if you're just wanting to look for something super simple in line with what's going on in public schools right now and cheap, this is the way to go. You can get them on Amazon. Costco has them for the cheapest price. I think they're like $10 each, and that's your full year. So something you might want to look into. I did purchase them this year. I may be returning them because I don't know how much we're going to use them, but because they were so inexpensive, we may just supplement here, there, maybe the math, things like that, using this when the kids need some busy work, or if I'm busy and can't do a regular lesson. It's always handy to have kind of some extra stuff for them to do on their own. So our plan for this year is to try the Gather Round curriculum, but I am a stickler for grammar, for English, for language arts. And so we will also be supplementing with a grammar program. This is a grammar program that we have used since we began homeschooling. It's called Growing with Grammar, and I love it. It is very high level grammar. Your kids will learn so much using this grammar. I cannot say enough great things about this. So we will be also using this alongside the other stuff. I found that the grammar in the Gather Round, because we've been using Growing with Grammar, my youngest, who would be level 4 this year for Growing with Grammar, grade 4, looked at the middle school, which is grade 7, 8 grammar that they had them doing in the Gather Round, and she was like, seriously, I did that a year ago. So this is much higher level stuff. The grammar will be super easy in there for her, but we'll also be using this. Levels 1 and 2 are just the student workbook, and it's 2 pages a day, front and back, that they answer and fill it out. And you can get a parent manual answer guide as well if you need it. Levels 3 and up come with a manual. They don't have to do anything in this manual. So the great thing is if you have multiple kids at different levels, this is level 7, but level 4, which they'll be doing this year, I ordered 7 years ago when we first started homeschooling and have used it for all of the kids that have come through. So you can reuse this, and then all you have to order is the student manual for that, or the student workbook for them to work through. So once you get to the older grades, levels 3 and up, usually for level 3, I still read the manual and teach the lesson. Once they're grade 5, 6, 7, 8, they can really do it on their own. They don't need you other than to go in and check. You just read the manual. It's a couple pages usually, kind of the lesson of what they're talking about. So for the level 4, the very first lesson is about subjects and predicates. So you would read, it's a couple pages long. You read it to them, explain it to them, and then they'll have their 2 pages to answer their questions to go alongside it. It's not too much work, and they retain it and they learn it. It's repetitive. My kids have been doing subjects and predicates since grade 1. So very repetitive. So they retain it and they remember it. We've been, usually it's 2 pages. It takes them maybe 5-10 minutes, depending on how focused or which kid it is. But it's not super time consuming. They can get through it pretty quickly. So we will be adding that with the Gather Round because I love this. And I'm a stickler for grammar, so they will be using that. The publishers that put out Growing with Grammar also do Soaring with Spelling and Winning with Writing. The writing I found, I have very reluctant writers, and I feel that the writing stuff that the kids have to do in the Gather Round is going to be sufficient, so we won't be adding that in this year. We will be doing the Soaring with Spelling as well. I do like the way that we originally did not use this. We used All About Spelling, which went along with the reading program that we use when you're teaching kids to read, which was great for slow learners and was great for, I shouldn't say slow learners, struggling learners, and also wasn't just memorizing how to spell words. It was teaching you why the word is spelled the way that it is, which is wonderful. My kids found it boring because it was a big, long lesson. A lot went with the same as what we were doing in reading, and it just wasn't enough on their own, and it wasn't enough. It didn't keep their interest because it was too boring for them. So we switched. So that was what I was doing with my younger kids. My older kids have always done Soaring with Spelling, and so we switched all the kids back to Soaring with Spelling. It's set up for a 5-day week. Day 1, they get a list of words. This is last year, so it's messy from Ivy. They get a list of words and the definitions, and they read that over, they look it over, they study it, and then they do a practice test immediately. So they write those words out and see how many of them they can spell. The fun thing about that is they can see the difference that just a week makes, that they see progress in what they're doing. And then each day there's only 1 page of activities for them to do. It's different every day. Sometimes it's word searches. Sometimes it's finding words in a bunch of letters. Sometimes it's on scrambling. Sometimes it's matching definitions to the spelling word. Sometimes it's just copy work. You're just copying a sentence. Sometimes it's finding the spelling word in a sentence and it's misspelled and they have to underline it and rewrite it. So only 1 page a day. Just a couple things for them to do. Doesn't take long, maybe 5 minutes, 10 minutes. And it has worked for us. It's worked really, really well. Oliver is a wonderful speller and last year was level 6, I believe, or level 7. And he was spelling some quite complicated words. Some words that some adults that we know can't even spell. So, which was cool. So it keeps them excited, and it was fun for my kids because it was short and it was different every day. It wasn't just a boring lesson. There was no lesson. It wasn't me at all. It was just the worksheet. I didn't have to be telling them or teaching them anything, which makes it easier for me and more fun for them. So we're also going to be using this in conjunction with the Gather Round this year. I don't think that it's a must-have, but for me, it's important. We may not do it every week, even if we don't get through the whole book in the year. I'm not going to sweat it, but we are going to supplement with some of that because spelling and grammar is very important to me. You'll notice that I'm a lot of the choices we make as far as our curriculum is language arts focused, which it kind of is a little bit of a disservice to my kids with the math and the science because it's not something that is my strong point. So anyways, we will be doing that as well this year. So that is what we will be doing this year. Math, we have not tried a whole lot of different maths, and we've yet to find one that I love, that I say is a must-have. We have switched it many times. We've just used the Complete Math workbooks, Math Smart books that you can get on Amazon or at Walmart. We never get very far in it. That hasn't worked wonderfully for us. We use Life of Fred for math. We used Life of Fred for math. It was a program. It is a very out-of-the-box way of doing math. The kids don't even realize they're doing it. It's very real life. It's very fun. It's very silly. It's very engaging. And my kids have loved it. When we have read the Life of Fred books, my kids will want more and more and more. They want to keep going. They love hearing the silly stories. And although I think it gave them enough math knowledge that they'll need for real life, I don't think it adequately prepared them for public high school. My two oldest had gone from homeschooling into regular public high school, and they struggled with math. There was stuff that they were learning at school that I don't really think they need, but they need to pass their courses, their grades, and stuff that I don't think Life of Fred adequately prepared them for. That being said, we love it, so we kind of use a mix of it. We still will read the funny stories. I have the full set, and we still read the funny stories and sometimes do the questions and sometimes not. Just to keep them engaged and having fun. If we're having a not feeling math kind of day, we'll do it with Life of Fred because they're still getting something and it's still fun and exciting for them. And I don't feel like we're leaving math out, but I'm also not going to fight with them to do it. So that works for us. Look into it. It's very different. It took me a couple years to get won over to it because I felt like I was like, how is that even math? It's silliness, but it really is fun for the kids. So with that, we have gone back to, which is what we did when we first started homeschooling, we've gone back to it again, teaching textbooks, which is a disc. So you do it on the computer. You can also order it as, I think, like an online thing where you don't get it's a little bit cheaper and you don't have the hard copy discs. You just do it online. But because I want to continue to reuse it for multiple children and take maybe more than a year to do a level, the discs are the way to go for us. I buy it secondhand. You can reuse it. You can buy it secondhand, reuse it, and you just have to call and get a new code or something like that to get it started. So I have a girl who I get them from every year. Hers grow out and then mine go in. So you can just do the discs on the computer. It does everything. I don't have to do anything. It teaches it's fun. It teaches the lesson. It gives them the question. It gives them the quizzes. It gives them the test. It tracks it all. I can go in through the parent section and check it out and see how well my kids are doing, and what maybe lessons they need to redo or refocus on, where their areas of struggle are. That's what's great about this. You do need a computer and you need to be able to put a disc in it, but it is working for my kids, particularly my video game kids. They like it because it feels like they're playing a video game when they're doing it. They get to do it on the computer, and that makes them happy rather than listening to me. You can, with it, get a giant textbook so that they can, it reinforces the stuff that they're doing online. You can just do it in the book and answer the questions, or they can do this as well as the discs on the computer and answering the stuff on the computer. So we've not yet used these. We might this year, we'll see. But you can kind of pick and choose whether you do both or just one or just the other, or sometimes the book and sometimes the disc, but it's all the same stuff. So for math this year, we will be doing teaching textbooks, and once in a while throwing in some Life of Fred just for fun. Teaching textbooks doesn't start till level 3, which is grade 3. So before that, I'm not the greatest person for advice on, these are really the only math curriculums we've ever used. So typically what we do is we do Life of Fred until they hit grade 3, and then we stick them into teaching textbooks. Oliver has done Life of Fred since grade 1 all the way up till last year, which was level 6 of teaching textbooks. And he had no problem jumping right into level 6 of teaching textbooks from only doing Life of Fred ahead of time. So I think you would probably be okay to be doing Life of Fred up until grade 3 and then throw them into teaching textbooks. There may be a little bit that you might need to help them with that they might struggle with, but it seemed to go well together enough to satisfy me and my children. So that's what we're doing for math. So now my long thing that I want to talk about is actually, I'll say what else we were doing. So that's our math. In the past, we had done the Soaring with Spelling, the Growing with Grammar, math, and Winning with Writing, which we're not going to do this year. And then we supplement with other things. So we did just random different sciences every year. We've tried multiple science programs, have yet to find one that we are madly in love with, but we did this one last year, which is just the Canadian, the Complete Science Smart last year. We also do Bible. We've used multiple different Bible curriculum as well. Last year we did this, which was Bible Treasures, which I really liked. We did the year before one called Positive Action, which required the kids to have a workbook each, and then I got a disc for the teacher stuff. I loved it. It was quite old school, so it had songs that went along with each lesson. It was, all those old Bible stories and songs from my past, from me being a child. It brought back a lot of cool memories. It was a blast from the past to do those songs and things with the kids. I really did like it, but it was leveled. So I had to do the grade 1s together, and then if I was going to do it with Oliver, I had to focus just on him. It wasn't one that we could do all together. Bible Treasures last year we did all together. It was easy for the older kids, but they're still learning. They're still getting Bible from it. I can't remember if this is the first one in it or not, but it went from 1 Samuel to Malachi. Whole bunch of cool Bible stories, set up much like a Sunday school lesson. We read together, and then they just answer a few questions and fill it in. My kids liked it. It worked well for us. It was cheaper than the Positive Action one. And we didn't even get all the way through it. I think we have a couple left that we can do this year if we want, or do it over the summer. But we did really like this one. That's called Bible Treasures. So, and then we've done, cursive and handwriting and stuff as well that we sometimes throw in. We probably won't be doing that this year. We also do a homophones worksheet because, again, grammar is very important to me. It takes them just a couple minutes to do the 2 and to fill it out. Super easy. It's by each grade. You just buy one book and it's got all the grades in it, and then you just photocopy, and I throw it in a duotang for each of the kids, the ones they need. There's not a whole lot of them. There's not even enough for every day. I think there's maybe, 20 of them or something like that. So we just do it randomly with that. So I think that's all of the kind of the extra stuff that we throw in that we're kind of cutting out this year. But my favorite, probably the best decision I ever made regarding curriculum when we started homeschooling was to purchase All About Reading. This is what teaches your kids to read. I love homeschooling and I love my children, but teaching my children to read has been my biggest struggle. And it can be frustrating for me, and it's frustrating for them, and it can be exhausting. This is the best decision we made regarding homeschool. There are 4 levels of All About Reading. It comes with a teacher's manual with your lesson. It comes with a student book. It comes with tiles and flashcards. They are quite expensive, but they are worth it, and they have a great resale value. I have had no issues selling the levels that we have gone through. So what we do is for the student book, activity book, there's different activities that they do. You can certainly just rip it out and give it straight from this book, but if you're looking at reselling it, I photocopy it all and we put it into sleeves in a binder for the kids for their activities. So, and then when they do those activities, they just stick it back in their binder and we can keep it. There's also a tracking sheet that they get a sticker for each lesson that they complete. It is so easy to teach. It is literally like very mom friendly. It is just like a Sunday school lesson in the way that it is like in, the first lesson, in quotes, it says, say to your kids, in this first activity, we'll review words that you already know. See how well you can read these words. Tells you exactly, it is a script, exactly what you need to say. There's activities, and then they also have readers that I think the majority of the levels do like one lesson with an activity, and then the next lesson they read a story from the reader, and then the next is a lesson, and then the next is from the reader. It is multi-sensory, so for struggling learners, this is the way to go. For kids who learn in different ways, this covers all of those. It's multi-sensory. It will meet the need of any kid and work for them. Super easy for a parent. Took out the majority of the stress. Not always the frustration, but the stress. Super easy and a really great way to teach them to read. There's tiles. When you buy the kit, there's magnetic tiles that you put on the whiteboard for sounding out words and sounding out letters, and they're different colors. You also, if you buy the kit, you get a little box to put your flashcards in, and they have the phonogram flashcards as well as the words for the kids to learn. Mine that I have taught to read were very late readers, very, very late readers. Oliver was my first that I taught to read. The other two learned to read in public school. Oliver, of all my children, loves to read. He reads for fun. He reads for pleasure. And he was very, very late in learning to read. However, his ability to read now, it surpasses many other kids his age. So this works. This I love. We are very slow to do it. We're only halfway through level 2, and my youngest ones are going into grade 4. So we're very late in doing it. But you know what? We go slow. We go at our own pace because I never push them further than them enjoying it, because I want them to love it. And so if we stop and if we do it slower and they don't learn to read till they're really old, as long as they learn to read, it doesn't really, 10, 20 years from now, it's not going to matter whether they learn to read at 4 or whether they learn to read at 10. What's going to matter is whether they had fun doing it and whether they enjoy it. So I have to remind myself of that all of the time. But this, just a minute, please. This works well for us. This I cannot say enough about. We will also be doing this year for my still learning to read kids in conjunction with the Gather Round. Love, love, love this. Like I said, it goes up to level 4. By the time I got to level 4 with Oliver, we probably didn't need to do it. He breezed through those lessons. We could do a couple lessons a day. He just flew through it, but we did it anyways just to reinforce everything. I had it, so we may as well use it. Some days it takes us a couple days to do a lesson. Some days we get through a lesson in a day. So it just kind of all depends on the level and where your kids are at and what kind of mood they're in that day. For history, also in the past, I don't have it with me here, but we've used Story of the World for history as well, which has worked well for us. We've used it with the activity book as well as just me reading to them. We're going to see how the Gather Round works for history. There's a lot of history in it. If I don't feel like it's enough, we're probably going to go back to the very beginning of Story of the World and not do the activities and the narration and all of that, but just me reading the reader to the kids. And I think that's kind of a breeze through really quickly of what we use for curriculum. I don't know if that helps or not. If you have more questions about these particular curriculums or where to order it, let me know. But basically that 30 minutes of me jabbering away sort of very quickly and in a very small scale explains to you what we have found works for us and what we're doing this year. Certainly there's more curriculum than just this that we have used in the past that is stored away in shelves. Some have worked at different times for us and some have not worked at all. But for now, this is what's working for us and this is what we are loving. For sure, I recommend, without a doubt, for everybody, if you're teaching a kid to read, all about reading for sure. That is the best decision we have made as far as homeschooling. Also, love growing with grammar. It is a very, very good program and teaches them really high level stuff that, you know, they're going to get to high school and go back to regular school and just blow their teachers out of the water with how much they've learned through that program. So those are my most highly recommended ones. Ask me in a month how the Gather Around stuff is going. Fingers crossed it's going to work for us because the themed unit studies and doing it all together is something that really, really excites me as a homeschool mom to do this as a family. So we'll see how that goes. Maybe I'll have to do another video for those that want to know more about Gather Around once we've completed it. But so I hope that's helpful. If you want to come to my friends who want to come and get their hands on and look in these books and look at the stuff, if there's one in particular you're thinking might work for you and you want to actually see it in person, feel free to reach out. And good luck, whether you're pandemic schooling or whether you're making the switch to full-time homeschooling. It is a decision that I was slow to make and have not regretted. So enjoy your time together as a family and in your homeschool journey. And whether this is just something that's going to be short term or long term for you, I hope you find a good groove that works for your family. Allow yourself a grace period to figure it all out. Don't stress and just enjoy the journey together. Also, I should say, speaking of giving yourself grace, you will find, if you are new to homeschooling, that you can get your work done really fast. The average homeschool family of at least people I know and have talked to, an hour and a half, 2 hours tops it takes to get through everything. There is so much wasted time and time spent in transitions and bathroom breaks and shushing and lunch and all sorts of things in regular school that you don't have when you're homeschooling, and obviously much less students than they would have in a classroom at school. So you can get it done quickly. If you get it done in an hour and a half, and then you go, oh my goodness, I'm not doing enough because we can't possibly be done this quick. You have done enough, and yes, you can get done that quickly. Sometimes we're less than an hour, depending on the day and depending what all we're doing. So keep that in mind as you start schooling your kids as well. If you have any more questions, just let me know. Have a great day.